Grand Rising family. I hope your day is great and may your tomorrow be greater. I'm just going to hop right in to this chapter 10, in one of the most influential books I've ever read, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, who was commissioned by Dale Carnegie to go and research over 500 men and women that have, transmuted desire into a fortune. Um, This book is accredited with making millionaires, and I hope it influences you to do the same. If you'd like to hear more, definitely like, share, and subscribe. If you donate me, the ancestors return that donation to you 10,000 times. But just put it in the chat if you'd like for me to actually read the book again so that, we can all get into it. But right now, this is the power of the mastermind. And if you don't have one, we may be doing enrollment maybe next month. Those of us that are already in, I'm not talking about us. I'm talking about for the future, planning for the future. I believe that what we're doing is going to grow tremendously. And I'm honored and grateful to be a part. So without further ado, let's jump into chapter 10 from the book, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Oh, pardon me doing that. Let me post to social media so that I can try to get this to as many people as I can. Let's see. Oh, great. There we go. Shouldn't take too long now. Cool. If there's any family watching, I love you. I miss you. I will see you soon. Put this in the news feed. Yes. So please, if you're unaware of YouTube and you're watching this, you can just like under the video. You can even comment. Please say something positive. I would love it. It would help me with the algorithm to be able to reach more like-minded people. And share. If you can share it to your Facebook, to your Instagram, to your TikTok, I'd greatly appreciate it, because what we do for one another will affect all of us. Hold on. Let me go back to this page and repost this. Okay. Halfway done. Yeah, please like, share, subscribe, comment. I appreciate it all. I think 57 more subscribers. I need to hit 100 before the end of this month. I needed to do that last month, but they're giving me another chance. So what's going on here? Oh man, that's what I was trying to do. Figure if it was public or private. Oh, good. Public. All right, so now let me go back here. Get this going. All right. Cool. All right, so we got that, and I'm more than halfway done. Let me know what city you're tuning in from. What have you liked thus far from any of the books I'm reading, especially Blueprint for Black Power. And right now I'm reading an excerpt from chapter 10 in Think and Grow Rich, which is The Power of the Mind. And I started that today because the energy is flowing and it's there. It's our time. I know things might not always feel like they're going the way that you want them to go, but do know that when it comes to success, especially without some form of struggle or growth, you can't have what you've never had. You must go through something to get it, right? And right now you might not be at your best, but with the collective mind and spirit, you will get there. I guarantee it. So if you haven't been a part or been welcome to a mastermind group, email us or send us your information. My information is on YouTube. You can go to my channel, go to details. It'll give you my email so you can just copy and paste. I can also put it in the chat. But I don't want to be on here long, and it's going to take me about 7 minutes or so to read this chapter. So let me go ahead and finish posting to Facebook, or social media, should I say. And then I will read this chapter, and I hope that it touches your mind, spirit, and body. Like, share. Yes, I'm posting to multiple groups. Trying to see if I can trigger this algorithm to do a little something extra for me today. What city are you tuning in from? What what have you liked thus far that I've read? Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, bro. I hope you're watching. I'm about to if you are, go ahead and say something in the chat so I can respond to you. Um if there's anyone watching, can you say begins reading at 9 minutes in? Thank you. Please type that in the comments. All right, let's get to it. So 9 minutes in is when I begin, and I'll write that down at the end. I know that rhyme. This is just crazy. I can't help it. All right. Power to mastermind. The driving force. The ninth step toward riches. Power is essential for success in the accumulation of money. Plans are inert and useless without sufficient power to translate them into action. This chapter will describe the method by which an individual may attain and apply power. Power may be defined as organized and intelligently directed knowledge. Power, as the term here is used, refers to organized effort sufficient to enable an individual to transmute desire into its monetary equivalent. Organized effort is produced through the coordination of effort of two or more people who work toward a definite end in a spirit of harmony. Power is required for the accumulation of money. Power is necessary for the retention of money after it has been accumulated. Let us ascertain how power may be acquired. If power is organized knowledge, Let us examine the sources of knowledge. A. Infinite intelligence. This source of knowledge may be contracted, pardon. This source of knowledge may be contacted through the procedure described in another chapter with the aid of creative imagination. B. Accumulated experience. The accumulated experience of man, or that portion of which has been organized and recorded, may be found in any well-equipped public library. An important part of this accumulated experience is taught in public schools and colleges, where it has been classified and organized. C. Experiment and research. In the field of science and in practically every other walk of life, men are gathering, classifying, and organizing new facts daily. This is the source to which one must turn when knowledge is not available through accumulated experience. Here, too, the creative imagination must be used. Knowledge may be acquired from any of the foregoing sources. It may be converted into power by organizing it into definite plans and by expressing those plans in terms of action. Examination of the three major sources of knowledge will readily disclose the difficulty an individual would have if he depended upon his efforts alone in assembling knowledge and expressing it through definite plans in terms of action. If his plans are comprehensive and if they contemplate large proportions, he must generally induce others to cooperate with him before he can inject into them the necessary element of power. Gaining power through the mastermind. The mastermind may be defined as coordination of knowledge and effort in a spirit of harmony between two or more people for the attainment of a definite purpose. No individual may have great power without availing himself of the mastermind. In the preceding chapter, instructions were given for the creation of plans for the purpose of translating desire into its monetary equivalent. If you carry out these instructions with persistence and intelligence and use discrimination in the selection of your mastermind group, your objective will have been halfway reached even before you begin to recognize it. Ashe. Ashe means so it is and so it will be. So you may better understand the intangible potentialities of power available to you through a properly chosen mastermind group. We will here explain the two characteristics of the mastermind principle, one of which is economic in nature and the other psychic. The economic feature is obvious. Economic advantages may be created by any person who surrounds himself with the advice, counsel, and personal cooperation of a group of men who are willing to lend him wholehearted aid in a spirit of perfect harmony. Let me repeat that again. Economic advantages may be created by any person who surrounds him or herself with the advice, counsel, and personal cooperation of a group of men and or women who are willing to lend him or her wholehearted aid in a spirit of perfect harmony. This form of cooperative alliance has been the basis of nearly every great fortune. Your understanding of this great truth may definitely determine your financial status. The psychic phase of the mastermind principle is much more abstract, much more difficult to comprehend because it has reference to the spiritual forces with the human race as a whole. Pardon me, I think I read that incorrectly. The psychic phase of the mastermind principle is much more abstract, much more difficult to comprehend because it has reference to the spiritual forces with which the human race as a whole is not well equipped. Is not well acquainted. You may catch a significant suggestion from this statement. No two minds ever come together without thereby creating a third invisible, intangible force which may be likened to a third mind. Ashe. Keep in mind the fact that there are only two known elements in the whole universe, energy and matter. It is a well-known fact that matter may be broken down into units of molecules, atoms, and electrons. There are units of matter which may be isolated, separated, and analyzed. Likewise, there are units of energy. The human mind is a form of energy, a part of it being spiritual in nature. When the minds of two people are coordinated in a spirit of harmony, the spiritual units of energy of each mind form an affinity which constitutes the psychic phase of the mastermind. The mastermind principle, or rather the economic feature of it, was first called to my attention by Andrew Carnegie over 25 years ago. To be honest, it was way more than 25 years ago. This book was written in 1934, so that means that this book, what he's talking about, began at some point like 1909. Discovery of this principle is responsible for the choice of my life's work, which is Think and Grow Rich. It took him like 25 years to write this. He interviewed well over 500 of the wealthiest people in the world. Mr. Carnegie's mastermind group consisted of a staff of approximately 50 men with whom he surrounded himself for the definite purpose of manufacturing and marketing steel. He attributed his entire fortune to the power he accumulated through his mastermind. Analyze the record of any man who has accumulated a great fortune and many of those who have accumulated modest fortunes, and you will find that they have either consciously or unconsciously employed the mastermind principle. Great power can be accumulated through no other principle. Energy is nature's universal set of building blocks out of which she constructs every material thing in the universe, including man and every form of animal and vegetable life, through a process which only nature completely understands. She translates energy into matter. Nature's building blocks are available to man and the energy involved in thinking. Man's brain may be compared to an electric battery. It absorbs energy from the ether, which permeates every atom of matter and fills the entire universe. It is a well-known fact that a group of electric batteries will provide more energy than a single battery. It is also a well-known fact that an individual battery will provide energy in proportion to the number and capacity of the cells it contains. The brain functions in a very similar fashion. This accounts for the fact that some brains are more efficient than others and leads to this significant statement. A group of brains, coordinated or connected in a spirit of harmony, will provide more thought energy than a single brain, just as a group of electric batteries will provide more energy than a single battery. Through this metaphor, it becomes immediately obvious that the mastermind principle holds the secret of the power wielded by men and women who surround themselves with other men and women of brains. There follows now another statement which will lead to still nearer to an understanding of the psychic phase of the mastermind principle. When a group of individual brains are coordinated and function in harmony, the increased energy created through that alliance becomes available to every individual brain in the group. Pay attention to this. I'm going to repeat this whole paragraph for you. There follows now another statement which will still lead nearer to an understanding of the psychic phase of the mastermind principle. When a group of individual brains are coordinated and function in harmony is the key. Coordinated is secondary. The increased energy created through that alliance becomes available to every individual in the group. It is a well-known fact that Henry Ford began his business career. Before I even begin that, the reason I restated that paragraph is because no matter where you are in your life right now, number one, if you're part of this mastermind success group with the tax lien investors that we've created ourselves, congratulations and salute to you. I salute you. And the reason I do is because it's this type of thinking, is this type of coming together, cooperative economics, that is going to catapult our success. What one of us doesn't know, the rest of us will. And whatever information you fall short on, we're going to all come up to speed on the basis of the understanding of everything that we all know collectively. So you're not behind, you're right on time. As a matter of fact, we're ahead, we're up, and we're winning. So pat yourself on the back for that one. It is a well-known fact that Henry Ford began his business career under the handicap of poverty, illiteracy, and ignorance. Pardon me, I need to cut that off, and I don't really want to walk in front of the camera because I'm professional up top, party on the bottom. What can I say? But give me one moment. Let me stop my alarm. Okay, that wasn't too bad, was it? All right. Thank you for waiting. Okay, let me repeat what I was saying. It is a well-known fact that Henry Ford began his business career under the handicap of poverty, illiteracy, and ignorance. Henry Ford didn't go past a fourth grade education at all. So I want you to remember, no matter where you are in life, if you can't read, if you can't write, doesn't matter. You got a group of people that can and that will help you. It is a well-known fact that Henry Ford began his business career under the handicap of poverty, illiteracy, and ignorance. It is an equally well-known fact that within an inconceivably short period of 10 years, Mr. Ford mastered these three handicaps, and that within 25 years, he made himself one of the richest men in America. Connect with this fact the additional knowledge that Mr. Ford's most rapid strides became noticeable from the time he became a personal friend of a Thomas A. Edison, and you will begin to understand what the influence of one mind upon another can accomplish. Go a step farther and consider the fact that Mr. Ford's most outstanding achievements began from the time that he formed the acquaintances of Harvey Firestone, John Burroughs, and Luther Burbank, each a man of great brain capacity. And you will have further evidence that power may be produced through friendly alliance of minds. And that's what we have, a great friendly alliance of minds. There is little, if any, doubt that Henry Ford is one of the best informed men in the business and industrial world. The question of his wealth needs no discussion. Analyze Mr. Ford's intimate personal friends, some of who've already been mentioned, and you will be prepared to understand the following statement. Men take on the nature and habits and the power of thought of those with whom they associate in a spirit of sympathy and harmony. I'll repeat it again. Men and women take on the nature and the habits and the power of thought of those with whom they associate in a spirit of sympathy and harmony. Henry Ford whipped poverty, illiteracy, and ignorance by allying himself with great minds. Let me repeat that. Henry Ford whipped poverty, illiteracy. I keep stuttering, so I'm going to have to repeat it again until I get it right. I have a little OCD, pardon me. Henry Ford whipped poverty, illiteracy, and ignorance by aligning himself with great minds, whose vibrations of thought he absorbed into his own mind. Through his association with Edison, Burbank, Burroughs, and Firestone, Mr. Ford added to his own brain power the sum and substance of the intelligence, experience, and knowledge and spiritual forces of these four men. Moreover, he appropriated and made use of the mastermind principle through the methods of procedure described in this book. This principle is available to you. Yes, you listening. We have already mentioned Mahatma Gandhi. Perhaps the majority of those who have heard of Gandhi look upon him as merely an eccentric little man who goes around without formal wearing apparel and makes trouble for the British government. In reality, Gandhi is not eccentric, but he is the most powerful man now living, estimated by the number of his followers in their faith and their leaders. Moreover, he is probably the most powerful man who has ever lived. His power is passive, but it is real. Obviously, this was wrote a long time ago because Gandhi passed a very long time ago, but obviously had an incredible influence because they spoke about it in this book at that time. Let us study the method by which he attained his stupendous power. It may be explained in a few words. He came by power through inducing over 200 million people to coordinate with mind and body in the spirit of harmony for a definite purpose. In brief, Gandhi has accomplished a miracle, for it is a miracle when 200 million people can be induced, not forced, to cooperate in the spirit of harmony for a limitless time. If you doubt that this is a miracle, try to induce any two people to cooperate in the spirit of harmony for any length of time. I think we all have shared in that experience, right? Every man who manages a business knows what a difficult matter it is to get employees to work together in a spirit even remotely resembling harmony. The list of the chief resources from which power may be attained is, as you have seen, headed by infinite intelligence. When two or more people coordinate in the spirit of harmony and work toward a definite objective, they place themselves in position through that alliance to absorb power directly from the great universal storehouse of infinite intelligence. This is the greatest of all sources of power. It is the source to which the greatest genius turns. It is the source to which every great leader turns, whether he may be conscious of the fact or not. The other two major sources from which knowledge necessary for the accumulation of power may be obtained are no more reliable than the five senses of man. The senses are not always reliable. Infinite intelligence does not err. In subsequent chapters, the methods by which infinite intelligence may be most readily contacted with, In subsequent chapters, the methods by which infinite intelligence may be most readily contacted will be adequately described. This is not a course on religion, No fundamental principle described in this book should be interpreted as being intended to interfere either directly or indirectly with any man's religious habits. This book has been confined exclusively to instructing the reader how to transmute the definite purpose of desire for money into its monetary equivalent. Read, think, and meditate as you read. Read, think, and meditate as you read. One more time for the people in the back. Read, think, and meditate as you read and think. Soon, the entire subject will unfold and you will see it in perspective. You are now seeing the detail of the individual chapters. Money is as shy and elusive as the old-time maiden. It must be wooed and won by methods not unlike those used by a determined lover in pursuit of the girl of his choice. And coincidental as it is, the power used in the wooing of money is not greatly different from that used in wooing a maiden. That power, when successfully used in the pursuit of money, must be mixed with faith. It must be mixed with desire. It must be mixed with persistence. It must be applied through a plan, and the plan must be set into action. When money comes in quantities known as the big money, it flows to the one who accumulates it as easily as water flows downhill. There exists a great unseen stream of power, which may be compared to a river, except that one side flows in one direction, carrying all who get in on that side of the stream onward and upward to wealth, and the other side flows in the opposite direction, carrying all who are unfortunate enough to get into it and not able to extract themselves from it downward to misery and poverty. Every man and woman who has accumulated a great fortune has recognized the existence of this stream of life. It consists of one's thinking process. The positive emotions of thought form the side of the stream which carries one to fortune. The negative emotions form the side which carries one down to poverty. This carries a thought of stupendous importance to the person who is following this book with the objective of accumulating a fortune. If you are in the side of the stream of power which leads to poverty, and you are if you're in this group, this may serve as an oar, OAR, by which you may propel yourself over into the other side of the stream. It can serve you only through application and use. Merely reading and passing judgment on it, either way, pardon me, I think I messed that up. Okay, let me repeat that. If you are in the side of the stream of power which leads to poverty, this may serve as an oar by which you may propel yourself over into the other side of the stream. It can serve you only through application and use. Merely reading and passing judgment on it, either one way or another, will in no way benefit you. Some people undergo the experience of alternating between the positive and negative sides of the stream, being at times on the positive side and at times on the negative side. The Wall Street crash of 1929 swept millions of people from the positive to the negative side of the stream. These millions are struggling, some of them in desperation and fear to get back to the positive side of the stream. This book was written especially for those millions. There are millions of people who have been struggling as a people for 3,000 years, weren't compensated for the work that they did, and were economically marginalized from the inception of this planet. And the only way to get back to what's rightfully ours is to come together as one. A lot of people talk about unity, but what we really need is unicity. And unicity is undivided wholeness. And that doesn't mean we got to get along at all times and we got to like and love every one of us. No, it means that we're committed to sticking together just like everyone else does. Every other ethnicity and organism is doing everything that it needs to survive. When you look in your community, you might see a couple of Black businesses, namely a hair salon or barbershop, but very rarely do you see a Black dentistry. And I'm not saying specifically this area. I'm talking about throughout the vast majority of the wilderness of North America, known as the United States. You will not see a little Africa, but you will see a little Ireland, a little Poland, a little China or Chinatown. You'll see a little Germany. You'll see all of those things. But all of these people come to the communities and where we live, and they extract the main resource, money, by setting up businesses, and they never return any of that. But if we set up our own businesses and support it ourselves, it doesn't mean that we can't do business with others, but we must look out for ourselves first. just like everyone else does. Because if you go and check the history, you'll find out even those people that say that they got our back, they never stood with us when it came down to the line to stand the line. They didn't, not as a whole. Maybe one or two individuals, which is an anomaly. But if the group of them are not doing it, it says everything you need to know. Poverty and riches often change places. The crash taught the world this truth, although the world will not long remember the lesson. Poverty may and generally does voluntarily take the place of riches. When riches take the place of poverty, the change is usually brought about through well-conceived and carefully executed plans. Emphasis added. Poverty needs no plan. It needs no one to aid it because it is bold and ruthless. Riches are shy and timid. They have to be attracted. And with that, I want us to remember that we're attracting the exact fortune that we deserve and desire. I hope that your today is great. May your tomorrow be greater. Race first at all times, and at all times, race first. And for those of you that don't know what race first means, race first is the terminology, the new code, the new saying, and what it means is thought and behavior that places the social, economic, educational, spiritual well-being, and overall material survival of the Black/African family first to facilitate African sovereignty. Yeah, there's no hating involved in that. It's just a loving of self initially first, because if you can't love yourself and where you come from and who you are and your great divinity, how can you ever love someone else? How can you ever have oneness with God if God is everything external to you? Acknowledge and recognize this. Greatness is within you. You are connected to the source, to the Asili. And now you have a brother and sisters that will help guide you, that will walk with you, so that we can accumulate exactly what it is that we deserve and transmute that into everything that we plan to have. With that, have a great morning, a great day, and I'll see you soon. If you're not involved in our group and you heard this and you'd like to be invited when we decide to expand, please send me your information and I will inform the group, and I will also inform you when we will be accepting new members. So again, may your today be great and may your tomorrow be even greater. Race first at all times, and at all times, race first. Hotep family.